I'm here with the prominent London lawyer, Mr. Faisal Joseph, and we are here to celebrate his accomplishments in his profession. Thank you so much for being on our show.
My pleasure, sister.
And we know that you have received the Law Society of Upper Canada's highest honor. Definitely a big accomplishment and a prestigious award. Congratulations. How do you feel?
It's overwhelming. You don't expect this. I've practiced for 30 years, and you don't practice to get awards, but when you're recognized by your peers and your community, it's a beautiful, wonderful thing.
Well, what does it mean to you?
Well, I guess what it is simply an acknowledgement of all of the legal work, human rights work, interfaith dialogue. We're all trying to improve the human condition, not tear it down. It's very easy for people to criticize and not so easy to build, and I think it's just an acknowledgement that I'm a builder like many other people in the community.
Now, I know you've been practicing for about 30 years. You started in Nova Scotia, and you came here in 1993. What have you learned from the Muslim community?
I've learned, as far as I'm concerned, and I've seen Muslim communities all over the world, this community I am the proudest of. This community is one of the strongest, most pluralistic, most unified Muslim communities, and they think outside the box. So they don't just do things to benefit the Muslim community, they benefit the entire community, whether it's Salam Shalom, whether it's protest marches for human rights issues. I'm very proud of my community.
Talk to us about Salam Shalom a little bit. You did address it in your speech, but what more can you say about that?
Well, it was an organization that we formed, and it was my partner, Michael Lerner, from the Jewish community, and myself, and there was a war going on in the Middle East and in Lebanon, and civilians were dying on both sides, and people were getting nasty in the two communities, and we decided we wanted to stop that. So we said, what can we do so that people in London that aren't Muslim or Jewish can see the benefit of having our communities in London versus it being a detriment and being something that wasn't pleasant. So we decided to pick a charity that was neutral. We kept politics and religion out of it. And what we ended up doing was benefiting the proceeds to the Children's Hospital, who could be against children no matter what your politics or religion are. And we had groundbreaking records. We had 1,000 people attend, and it was used as a template all over North America and the world, where people were getting together with the Jewish and Muslim communities trying to find out how these two great communities could work together to improve the human condition, which is what we did.
What a beautiful initiative. Now, you did talk a little bit about a book that your friends and family were encouraging you to start. When are you going to start that, and what are you planning?
Well, I'd love to reflect, because I think I've done a lot of things inside the courtroom and outside the courtroom. The only problem is my life has been so phenomenal, so blessed, and so enriched. It would be a nonfiction book, but I think people would think it's fiction. I mean, for a guy from Truro, Nova Scotia, to have meetings with the Vatican and with the Pope and world leaders and religious leaders, that's only something that could happen in a free and democratic country. So I hope I'll have the time to do that.
Definitely, we're looking forward to that. Now, one last question I guess I should ask you. You also talked about the importance of education and how your dad really pushed you to get that education because he knew down the road it would help you out. What advice would you give to the young Muslim community to maybe get more involved or go forward in getting an education? What does it mean, and why should we care?
Well, whatever you have to do to get that education, today's day and age, 50 years ago you didn't need it. Now you need it. Knowledge is power. And without the power, you can't accomplish anything. And you can't get that power without the knowledge. So to my brothers and sisters throughout the world, throughout our community, you need an education. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity, especially in today's day and age.
Thank you so much. And again, congratulations. Definitely an honor to know you as well. And we wish you the best. And thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We're here at Museum London. We're with Mr. Michael Lerner here. We're here to honor Faisal Joseph for an award that he's been given by the higher lawyers. And we'd just like to talk and interview and ask him what is it when he put Mr. Faisal Joseph's name down for this award. So thank you so much for being here.
It's not only a privilege, it's an honor. As everybody in the room knows, Faisal and I are very close. We have been that way since he came to London. I never had a brother, but Faisal is as close as I'll ever come. When I saw the qualifications for someone to receive the Law Society Medal, I knew there was only one person in my life that was deserving that award, and that was Faisal. And I can tell you that last week when the Law Society presented the award to Faisal, it was well noted that of all the recipients, he was probably the most worthy. Faisal has made a significant contribution to our profession, but more importantly, he's made a significant contribution to the citizens of London and to the people in the community.
Today we have a very special guest, Sister Susie Ismail, joining us all the way from New Jersey. She's an author and a motivational speaker. Welcome to the show, Sister Susie.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be here. Assalamu alaikum.
Sister Susie, talk to me a little bit about why you're here today and what's your message, inshallah?
Well, a lot of the work that I do is related to communication and relationships and understanding who we are as Muslims. So one of the programs that I run out of New Jersey is a center called Cornerstone, which focuses on marriage counseling, marriage facilitation, and youth counseling. So I get to travel quite a bit to speak to people about those types of topics. How can we strengthen our identity? How can we understand our identity? And how can we reflect that identity so that we build the best and most productive relationships, not only within our own homes, but with the outside world as well.
Talk to me a little bit about your books. So you have a few books out, and some of them are about modern day marriage, I think it is, or modern marriage in Islam. Tell me a little bit about that and what that means.
Well, I have several different books. I have some books called the BFF Sisters, which is a series for children, which essentially focuses on what it means to be Muslim growing up in the West. And then I have a book called When Muslim Marriage Fails, which is about divorce among Muslim communities, also in the West, and modern Muslim marriage, and 9 to 5 Muslims in the Western workplace. So although my books seem to cover different topics, they're all, again, related to that central issue of relationships and understanding the self before trying to understand anyone else, and understanding our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first and foremost, and building our relationships with people based on pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in my books about marriage and divorce, which tend to be the ones that people seem to be most interested in, it really just looks at what causes our marriages to either succeed or not succeed in a very practical perspective, because of course we know that everything is in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hands, but at the end of the day, what can we do as individuals to strengthen our marriages, and why do we see so many struggles, not only in marriages themselves, but in people trying to get married as well. So the focus of those books are really moving the centrality of relationships to away from looking at someone else to looking at yourself. First of all, knowing who you are, understanding yourself, understanding your purpose, and then applying that purpose to your relationships.
And how do you feel the best way is to, I guess, balance our identity, and as Canadians, as Muslims, as Americans, what are the key points that we need to remember in order to have that balance?
I think first and foremost is understanding who we answer to. At the end of the day, we answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that as much as we may run across people and into people who may try to pull us away from that purpose, constantly grounding ourselves through our salah and maintaining that purpose all the time is so important to leading a balanced life. Also recognizing that there's no such thing as 100% balanced all the time. The pendulum always swings in our lives, where certain things are more important than other things, or seem to be more important than other things, whether it's being pulled by family obligations, work obligations, studying, things of that sort. We have to find that balance, and the best way to maintain that balance is to prioritize, to recognize that, again, at the center of everything is the worshipping of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and everything kind of falls into place when you organize it with that purpose and that intention in mind.
There are some myths about Muslim women and Muslims in general. How do you think we can dispel some of the myths, especially about Muslim women? MashaAllah, and you're a very strong Muslim woman, a very inspiration to all of us. So what are some things that we can do to dispel these myths and kind of open people's eyes to who we truly are?
I think it's important for us to just be ourselves. I mean, a lot of times we get caught up in the, what would society say? What would media say? What would our community say? What would our culture say? At the end of the day, all of that, what would say, doesn't really matter as much as what would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, or what would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want us to do in this situation. If we consistently go back to that point, we will be able to find our own voices and we'll be able to speak up. The world is not out to get us, even though we may think that that's the case. At the end of the day, I think to a large extent the world doesn't understand us. We haven't given the world enough opportunities to see what it means to be a Muslim man or a Muslim woman. And even in the few glimpses that we've been able to break through, it's been overshadowed by what society or what the media decides the definition should be. So it's about taking back our own definitions. And I think to a certain extent, Muslims are still the new kid on the block in the West. We haven't gotten to that point in our lives yet where we can be what the society and what people around us see as familiar. We're still unfamiliar. We're still different. And again, there's no fear or no shame in being different, but there is a lot of more hard work that needs to go in to explaining that difference sometimes.
We're here in the kitchen where all the magic happens. We have our wonderful kitchen ladies here. Tante Mariam, welcome to the show.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for you making, that's kitchen. And so I don't know. It's
well, tell me. Hold on. Tell me a little bit about what types of foods do you cook?
I cook, it's a soup, lumpia today, and chicken, potatoes, and rice, and salad. Everything it's do it today.
Okay, and tell me, what's your favorite part of Ramadan? What do you love about Ramadan?
It's everything, I would say. Fasting, gathering together, cooking a lot of food, different kind of food, like getting with everybody, with friends, with relatives. It's nice.
Yes. And tell me, you, all of you wonderful ladies make the magic happen. You make the beautiful food. How do you feel while you're coming together with the other ladies and working together to do this every Saturday?
Yeah, everything, that's very good. And every time I'm very happy when I'm cooking. And every Saturday for Ramadan, I cooking. Alhamdulillah, I'm very good. I'm very healthy, for God bless me, bless everybody, for cooking. Thanks for everything you ask me.
Okay. And Tante Wafat, come for a second. Tell me, what's the best part about coming together with the ladies and cooking together?
Every Friday, every Ramadan, it's like we are like a family here. We enjoy ourselves. Everybody knows what to do. We don't have to tell anybody anything, and we are a happy family.
What do you love to cook the most?
Oh. Well, I'm on the oven, so I do the chicken, the potatoes, I do the salad, and everybody does their own. Everybody have their own thing to do. So everybody.
And what's your favorite part of Ramadan?
Ramadan, all of us together, Taraweeh, waking up early morning and coming here on Saturday to cook until midnight. Even if we are tired, we still enjoy ourselves. We have laugh and we can't wait until the Eid comes and until next Ramadan comes to come do it again.
Well, thank you so much for all your hard work. We love you guys. We love your food, and we appreciate everything you do for us.
And thank you for you, Sarah. You beautiful. You very nice. Every time, every 2 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sweetheart. Bye-bye.
We're here with Hassan Mustafa, the president of the Islamic Center, and part of the sponsors, right?
Absolutely, a sponsor and one of the organizers also.
Hassan, tell me a little bit about what is the Nazim Kadri Charity Golf Classic?
Well, really, this is an initiative started by Nazim and his family. He's been really successful and has done really well, and he's got a lot of name recognition, not only in our Muslim community, but all across Canada and even the United States. And so he came to us wanting to give back to the community. And so we came up with the idea, an association with the London Muslim community, to develop this charity, not just to help the Muslim community, but to really help the general wider community, and to show our sense of community and giving back. And because really, that's what Nazim grew up with, is that sense from his parents to give back to the community that's given you so much over the years.
And why do you feel that's important to do?
Well, I mean, we could say that really it goes back to a lot of our roots in our own cultural and religious ethical duties and our civic duty as Canadians and as Muslims to give back to the community. This community has been so wonderful to us, and so we really feel a sense to give back to the community.
How long have you been organizing this event?
Well, this is really the third year. It's the third annual tournament. Each year it gets bigger and better, and we're having a lot more fun with it, and we're getting better at it. We're really proud of Nazim and his family and all of the volunteers and the sponsors. They've really done a tremendous job, and I think in only a couple of years we're one of the biggest tournaments in London for sure.
Thanks so much for joining us, Hassan.
No, thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it.
We're here with Nazim Qadri, number 43 of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Welcome to the Muslim View.
Thank you.
Talk to me a little bit about the charity and why it's important to have this golf contest.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's important to give back to the community, and especially to a community that's given me so much. You know, growing up, this is all I knew, and being put in this fortunate position as of right now, I feel like it's my obligation to give back and help other people out.
And as a Muslim, you're giving back to not only the Muslim community, but you're giving back to the broader community. Why do you feel that's important to be identified as a Muslim and do that?
Yeah, I mean, the Muslim community is great. It's obviously, those are my people, and that's who I've been around, and I've supported them from day one, of course. But, I want to kind of expand my horizon a little bit, and there's other people that also need help. The Muslims are not the only ones that struggle. Other people do too. So I kind of want to touch base on every charity if I can. That's part of the reason why I change the charities every single year, and just try and kind of connect with all of them.
Did you play today?
I did play.
How'd you do?
I did pretty well, actually.
You did? What was your score?
We were 15 under, so I don't. Unfortunately, that wasn't good enough to win, but we still had a good time.
Okay, thanks very much, Nazim.
Thank you.
When you go home, what are you going to tell your parents you learned this year?
Well, I'm going to tell them that I know more than them, about Jewish and Christian, because I learned from them because they taught me.
We're here with Shaheen, one of the main organizers of the London Interfaith Peace Camp. Welcome to the Muslim View, Shaheen.
Thank you very much. So nice to see you again, Sarah.
Thank you for having us. Tell me a little bit about what the Interfaith Peace Camp is all about.
So the Interfaith Peace Camp is children who are of Abrahamic descent. So we've got Muslims, Christians, and Jews all working together as a camp, and counselors that also represent those faiths. So our goal here is to give kids a chance to play with one another when they're different religions, and not even have that be an issue. So you have a Muslim kid playing with a Jewish kid and then a Christian kid, and they all just get along. And that's kind of the goal where we start when they're young, where we can say, they haven't been influenced so much by maybe the media or politics or what maybe ancestors have said about different groups. They're just young kids having fun. And when they go home, they're like, oh yeah, did you know my Muslim friend, she doesn't eat pepperoni pizza because she can't have it because it's not halal. Or did you know my Jewish friend, she has dietary rules also. She can't eat pork just like me. And then in the end, they end up sharing these stories and visiting each other's places of worship, and it makes the whole experience a positive one for children.
And what do you think the children are learning from it, and what are you learning from it personally?
Well, I always learn every year when I come to the Peace Camp. This year we were able to go to Or Shalom, the Al-Mahdi Center, and St. John de the Vine, so a Catholic church, a Shia mosque, and we went to a conservative synagogue. So all three new places, and all kind of different from what we've been to before. So what I learned, for example, is I will chat with the pastor or chat with our photographer who happens to be Jewish, and we'll share common things. So, for example, in Islam, we often say the words inshallah, which means God willing. And you'll see maybe Christian people saying, yeah, God willing, we'll do this. But there's actually an origin of that, a Latin origin called Deo volente. So even when you have a wedding card, for example, if you practice this and believe in this, you'll have on your wedding card, so-and-so is marrying so-and-so, Deo volente, or DV, on this date, where we would say maybe inshallah on this date. So it's kind of understanding that we have some control, but we don't have all the control. We may break a leg or something may happen and we may not make it to that wedding or whatever. So I find it cool to share these similarities and understand origins of things whenever we have the Peace Camp.
And why do you recommend people bring their children to the Peace Camp? What kind of things will they be learning? And kind of give us an overview of the programs that you're having here.
So one of my friends sent her kids for the first time, and her kids were dropped off, and they're like, so are we going swimming at this camp? She's like, no. Is it a sports camp? Do we play tennis and other things? She's like, well, there's sports, but it's not a sports camp. So they're like, well, what do you do? Sit in church all day? Like, this sounds exciting. And she's like, no, I think go and you'll have a good time. So they came the first day, very apprehensive students, sitting in the back thinking, are we going to sing Kumbaya? Is that all we do here? And by the end of it, they were skipping out, excited to come back the next day. So things that we do is we start off with trickle time, which is where kids get to make beads and crafts, do Lego, whatever their interests are, they get to play together. And again, you have kids of all different religions and all different backgrounds working together on bead making or bracelet making. And then after that, we actually start our program. So Monday and Friday, we just stay at King's College all day. On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we load a bus and we go to a different place. So we'll go to the Jewish temple, we'll go to the mosque, we'll go to a church, and we get the kids to see that space. So it's easy for me to stand up and say, this is Islam, this is how we pray, this is what we do. But when you go to a mosque and the imam is up there saying, this is how you pray, it's a whole different experience. And the other kids who actually go to that mosque are very excited to say, oh, have you seen this? And let me show you this. And this is where we have Sunday school. And this is where the washrooms are. I know exactly where things are here. So they actually feel very proud of their religion. So people kind of worry, are you going to convert my child at the end of this? But in the end, the children developed their own sense of pride for their own religion. I remember the first year we did the Peace Camp, we had all the Muslim students gather together and recite a chapter from the Quran, Surah Fatiha. And they were very excited to do this, and everybody knows Surah Fatiha, so it was an easy one to get. And then at the end, they went and sat down. The next day, the Jewish students went to the rabbi and said, we would like to recite something in Hebrew. And so she never told them to, or they said, we want to share the Hebrew breaking of the bread ceremony. So they got together around the bread, and before we started eating, they did a prayer in Hebrew, which was just beautiful to see. And I find with the Christian students, on the first day, there's always a kid every year that comes to the Peace Garden where we break off by different faiths. We only do that once or twice during our actual time at the camp. And there will be a Christian student that will come to me and say, where do I go? And it happens every year that they haven't realized that I'm a Christian. It's just something that's just so understood or so common in Canada. So